The day began like any other in the local village, with the residents going about their usual routines. However, everything took an unexpected turn when Maria witnessed a horse sprinting into the river. She was taken aback, filled with astonishment at the sight. Maria swiftly mobilized other villagers, urging them to join her by the river to assist the distressed animal. As they gathered by the river and saw what the horse was desperately trying to save, a profound sense of dread washed over them, causing their faces to pale in disbelief. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. She dropped her basket on the ground and began to run. When she arrived at the riverbank, she saw the horse splashing around, trying to keep its head above the water. So she listened. She gently placed her other foot on the plank and began to walk. She shuffled very carefully and very slowly, trying not to fall in. Suddenly, she heard a commotion behind her. She looked over her shoulder and saw that many people had gathered at the riverbank, watching Maria with fear in their eyes. "Watch out, girl!" an elderly woman yelled. Maria turned her head back and looked at the horse, who was now splashing around underneath her. She was closer than ever, but still not close enough. Maria tried to concentrate, but it was harder now. She almost fell into the water, but could catch the wooden plank just in time. She thought. Peter, who had been talking to a vendor a few meters away, snapped his head in her direction. Seeing Maria's precarious position, a rush of panic coursed through him. But there was no time for hesitation. Pushing through the gathering crowd, Peter sprinted towards the riverbank, his footsteps heavy on the cobbled path. Their struggle continued, each movement painstakingly slow. The wooden plank, slick from river water, seemed to challenge Maria at every turn. But determination burned in her eyes. With one final heaving pull from Peter and a push of her own, Maria managed to swing a leg up. She was almost there. With another grunt of effort, she hoisted herself up, finally finding stable footing. Once Maria was safe on the other side, Peter wrapped her in a tight embrace. The weight of the past minutes fell away, replaced by overwhelming relief. After a few minutes of shared relief, Maria straightened up, wiping her tears. Her attention shifted back to the mysterious horse she had noticed earlier. It was still there, standing tall and proud. The majestic creature had a peculiar look in its eyes, almost beckoning her. Maria felt drawn to it, a pull she couldn't explain. "There's something about that horse," she whispered to Peter, her newfound determination evident. As the minutes ticked by, more villagers began to accumulate on the riverbank. Speculation ran wild among the crowd. "Perhaps the horse lost its rider in the river," one elderly woman suggested. "Or maybe it's guarding a hidden treasure," a young boy excitedly added. Maria, feeling overwhelmed by the crowd's energy, took a deep breath, determined to unravel the mystery herself. Peter, sensing her resolve, nodded in agreement. Maria and Peter moved closer to the water's edge, trying to get a better look at the elusive object the horse seemed so fixated on. "I'll help," a burly man named Jacob declared, his voice firm. Rita, with her knowledge of horses, and Kevin, known for his sharp eyes, joined the ranks. Their collective commitment was palpable, and the village's atmosphere shifted from despair to determination. Gathering around Maria, the newly formed team began discussing their plan. "We need to approach the horse calmly. Any sudden moves and we might spook it," Rita suggested, her experience evident. Jacob nodded. "And we need ropes, just in case." Kevin added, "Let's keep an eye out for any subtle signs in the water." Their strategy taking shape, the team prepped themselves for the task ahead. As they neared the riverbank, Kevin signaled them to stop, his gaze fixed on a specific spot in the water. The water's movement revealed fleeting glimpses of an object below. A shimmer here, a shadow there. The form was elusive, but intriguing. "I think there's something trapped under the water," Kevin whispered. Old villagers began sharing tales, their voices soft yet filled with wonder. "Years ago, there were stories," one elder began, "of animals in the woods forming bonds beyond their kind." Another chimed in, "Yes, friendships that defied nature's rules." The crowd listened intently. Tales of owls befriending mice and deer protecting lost birds. In the midst of the current mystery, the legends of the forest came alive once more. As the muddied, waterlogged figure was finally laid out on the ground, a collective gasp went up. Maria and Peter, with help from others, began to gently remove the clinging plants and mud. The creature, whatever it was still alive but barely so. Warm blankets were fetched, and they focused on bringing warmth to the seemingly lifeless form. Every second was crucial. From the outskirts of the crowd, an elderly man, Elias, began to speak. His voice, though frail, commanded attention. "Decades ago," he started, "there was a tale of a horse, much like this one, who formed an attachment that transcended species." All ears turned to him, with even the younger kids silenced by the gravity of his words. As Elias continued, it became apparent that history might be repeating itself. The horse, he said, had saved a creature from a hunter's trap, and the two had become inseparable. He paused, gazing at the horse and the creature on the ground. "Could it be?" he whispered, more to himself than the crowd, suggesting that the tales of yesteryears might be intertwined with today's unfolding events. The gathered throng fell silent as the elderly Elias cleared his throat, his posture rigid and eyes holding wisdom from countless yesteryears. He nodded to himself, as if confirming that now was the right time to share the tale he'd kept close to his heart. The very ground seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the rich tapestry of memories to unfold. Elias's voice wavered but remained steady. In a season of spring, many years ago, the forest echoed with a heart-wrenching cry. He sighed. This very horse, in its younger days, had lost its foal to the wild predators of the woods. His eyes held a distant pain, shared by those who listened. But nature, he continued, has its way of offering solace when we least expect it. One day, as the horse mourned by a clearing, it spotted a deer and her fragile newborn fawn. The deer, injured and weak, approached the horse, an unspoken plea in her eyes. The horse, understanding her silent request, gently nuzzled the fawn, forming an unbreakable bond. The trio became an uncommon sight in the forest, with the horse playing protector to both mother and child. Over time, the deer's injuries worsened, and before passing on, she entrusted her fawn to the horse. The mighty steed, heart heavy with grief, accepted the responsibility. It promised the dying deer that the fawn would always be under its vigilant watch. Come what may, the forest had watched, acknowledging and respecting the horse's solemn vow. As the blankets were finally pulled away, the form of the delicate fawn was revealed. Gasps of realization echoed, and eyes turned back to Elias. The connection was clear. The horse had been trying to save the very fawn it had promised to protect. Amidst the murmurings of awe, Maria's eyes locked with the horse's, gratitude and understanding passing between them. After hearing Elias's story, there was a collective sense of unity among the villagers. Sympathetic glances exchanged, nods of understanding given, hands raised in commitment. "This horse," began Thomas, a village elder, "has shown more compassion than many of us might ever have. We owe it to them, to this fawn, to make sure they're taken care of. Murmurs of agreement echoed in response. Peter and a few villagers rushed forward, gathering materials and building a makeshift shelter on the riverbank. Blankets, hay, and even some stored food were brought forth. The shelter was soon abuzz with activity. The horse, sensing the goodwill, nudged the fawn gently towards it, eyes gleaming with silent gratitude. Maria looked on, heart swelling with pride for her community's actions. With the story fresh in their minds, the villagers looked towards the forest with a renewed sense of wonder. Children listened, wide-eyed, as the older folk shared tales once deemed mere fables. The whispers of the woods were no longer just legends. They were a testament to the rich tapestry of life and bonds in the forest. The sky began to wear its velvety cloak of stars, with the silhouettes of the trees casting long, eerie shadows. Sung and stories shared, all in the name of celebrating the profound connection between the horse and fawn. Amid the gentle hum of the night, a hauntingly familiar cry pierced the air. Heads turned, ears strained, and eyes searched the darkness. From the forest's edge emerged a figure, another deer, its eyes filled with hope. The realization was instantaneous. The cry was that of a mother, separated but never truly apart. The village watched, breaths held, as a new chapter awaited to unfold. The ambiance around the riverside transformed from jubilation to quiet suspense. Every whisper ceased, every foot stilled, as the villagers waited with bated breath. The forest's rustling seemed to echo the collective heartbeat of everyone present. Maria, her previous ordeal now overshadowed, felt an overwhelming emotion building. The reunion, she thought, would be one for the ages. Silently, almost like a ghostly apparition, the mother deer stepped out from the curtain of shadows. Her eyes, deep pools of love and anxiety, scanned the gathering. She caught sight of the fawn, and for a fleeting moment, there was a pause. A tangible moment of recognition and relief. The pace of her hooves against the earth seemed to synchronize with the rising emotions of the spectators. Fueled by love, the little fawn mustered its strength, pushing itself up on wobbly legs. Each step was tentative, yet filled with intent. And as it met its mother, their nuzzles and gentle touches spoke volumes. The reunion was more than just a coming together. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of family, even in nature. The scene was like an artist's masterpiece. The tall, majestic horse, its mane flowing in the night breeze, stood beside the delicate deer and her frail fawn. This unlikely family, united in adversity, became an emblem of hope and resilience. Maria felt tears prick her eyes, realizing the beauty of bonds that transcended species and circumstances. With the moon casting a silver glow, the trio began their journey back into the depths of the forest. Their silhouettes, framed against the moonlit backdrop, seemed almost ethereal. As they disappeared from view, the village was left with a profound sense of wonder and gratitude. The night's events, from Maria's near fall to this astonishing reunion, would become tales told for generations to come. If you enjoyed this story, you might like this one about a rich dad who was ashamed of his waiter son until one day he surprised him with his dedication to his work.